Hi guys, so I created this bronzy coppery eye for you today, and it's really super simple, super easy and super pretty. So if you want to know how I created this look, then please keep on watching and I'll take you through all the steps you need to know. So I've already primed my skin with the Laura Mercier primer. This is the original primer, and I'm just using the Laura Mercier Creme Smooth foundation. This one is in tawny beige, and I'm just using that to apply onto my skin, and then I'm just going to use a beauty blender to blend all of that out. So just for concealer, I'm using my MAC NW35. This is the moisture cover. Just using that on the inner corners of the eye, and then I will follow with a little bit of the Kevyn Aucoin Central Skin Enhancer, and this one is in SX08, and I will just use that underneath the eye, and that will just bring in a little bit more light. So the slightly warmer concealer is to obviously warm the area up and to take down any discoloration, and this one is to sort of give a little bit more of a highlighted look. So I'm just applying the Laura Mercier translucent powder, and that's just all over the skin. I'm sort of avoiding the contour areas ever so slightly because I'm just going to put a little bit of contour powder there. But yeah, just apply it over the skin quite liberally. So here I've just taken the MAC Studio Fix. This is one of these stick foundations. It's old, so I don't know if you'll be able to get it now, but you can just use any cream contour that you have. And I've just used a little bit of the ABH contour powder, and this one is in Carob, and I'm just using that to set that in place. So just for a highlight, I'm just using the Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector. This one is in Opal. Just using that on the tops of the cheekbones, and I'm just going to use my beauty blender just to blend all of that out. So here I'm just using a MAC blush. This one is Pink Swoon, and I'm just using that on a Real Techniques blusher brush. I'm just using that on the apples of the cheeks and then blending that back. So as you know, I always like to prime my eyes. I'm using the Laura Mercier Eye Basics in Tawny, and I'm just going to do a really, really thin coating of that because I am going to use a couple of other different bases. So I just want to keep all the layers nice and thin so they don't crease up on me. I am so sorry if my voice sounds like a frog. I seem to have come down with a bit of a cough and a cold, and my voice just sounds horrendous, so I'm really sorry about that. So just for my brows, I'm just using the Anastasia Beverly Hills Dip Brow Pomade. This one is in Ebony. Just using that on quite sort of a stiff, angled liner brush, and I'm just running the colour through the eyebrow there, just create a bit of shape and definition. So here I've just taken the NYX Jumbo Pencil. This one is in Milk, and I'm just placing that into the inner corners of the eye because I'm going to use a yellow on the inner corner of the eye, and I really wanted that to sort of be quite vibrant and not sort of lose its colour as such. So I'm just using that on the inner corner. I'm just using my ring finger just to blend all of that out. So once again, just keeping the layers nice and blended out and nice and thin. So for the second base, I've just used a really nice shimmery coppery base. This is Illamasqua's Liquid Metal. This one is in Rapture, and I've just used a really thin layer again, and I've just used that on the sort of middle section of the eye, and then I've blended it out towards the sort of outer crease as such, or the outer corner of the eye. I'm just using a 217 just to really buff that in. Here I've taken Sugar Pills eyeshadow. This one is in Buttercup. And I'm just using a MAC brush. I can't remember the number of this one. This is one of the first ones that I got actually. But I'm just using that on the inner corner of the eye, just for something a little bit different, and just to give a bit more sort of interest to the look. Here I've just taken a pigment by Guerlain. It's just a bronze pigment. I think it was a limited edition, so I'm not quite sure if you can get hold of this. But any sort of bronze colour, really sort of nice shimmery bronze will do for this look. I mean, you can obviously put whatever colour you want, but I've just used a bronze. I really wanted to keep it quite neutral, so I've just used a sort of coppery bronze colour but like I said, any colour will do. I'm just using the applicator to press it on, and then I'm just using that same brush just to blend it all out. So for my crease, I've just taken a little bit of MAC's Brick eyeshadow, and I'm just using that on a big fluffy brush. This is the Laura Mercier ponytail brush, and I'm just using that to loosely put into the crease, nothing too structured. It's just to create a bit more of a transition, add a bit more depth and a bit more sort of structure to the eye. Now for my lower lash line, I've just taken that same brick colour and I'm just running that underneath, and I'm just using that on a sort of penciled brush just to really kind of smudge it all out and keep it quite nice and really soft under the eye. So I decided to use a coppery kohl pencil into the waterline, and this one is by GRWM, and I'm just using that sort of as a base, and what I'm actually going to do is use a little bit of that Guerlain pigment, and I'm going to press that into the root of the lashes and extend ever so slightly onto the waterline just for that slightly sort of highlighted look onto the waterline. And here I've just added a little bit of Makeup Geek's Bitten eyeshadow that's just into the outer corners of the crease. Once again, on a fluffy brush, I've just taken a little bit of MAC's Floof, and I've just popped that into the inner corners of the eye just to bring a bit more light into the look. And now I decided to add a tiny little bit of Fudge eyeshadow by ABH, and once again, it wasn't to create anything that was too structured, it was just it needed a little bit more depth to the eye. So I dipped my pencil brush into Fudge and a tiny little bit of the black that was in the ABH palette, and I've just used that to smudge onto the lower lash line. Now what I'm doing is I'm actually tightlining, so I'm using the Laura Mercier gel eyeliner in Noir, and I'm just using that on a liner brush just to tightline really into the roots of the lashes. Then I've created a winged liner. I didn't want it too big, but I wanted the flick to be quite sort of exaggerated, so I've tried to keep it quite thin and create more of a sort of fine point towards the inner corner, keeping it quite thin, then extending it and making it sort of quite big towards the actual sort of flick part of it. So as you can see here, I've been using my brush in one direction, and now to create the flick, I almost reverse the brush. So I find that's a really good technique to sort of use that to meet the rest of the eyeliner, because the pressure when you apply the brush sort of meets up with the sort of first part of the work that you've already done. So just pop on a really good coating of mascara and do this for your top and bottom lashes. I just think it really helps to blend in your false eyelashes if you are going to wear them. So I just used the L'Oreal Voluminous mascara. This one is just in a black colour. You can use whatever colour that you want. And for my eyelashes, I use the Eyelaw volume range. This is the number 100. They're quite natural, not too natural, but not too thick at the base, and so you will still be able to sort of see the work that you've done on the eyelid, and I think that's really important sometimes, otherwise it will take away from all that colour that you've put onto the eyelid, so I preferred to keep it quite natural, so just with a little bit of a flare. So just for my lips, I use the Gerard Cosmetics. This is the Hydro Matte lipstick. This one is in Share. It's just like a mauvey pink. You just want something that's fairly neutral. Obviously, you can do a deeper lip if you want to, but I thought this was quite nice with this look.
So that concludes our look for today. I hope you liked it. So the jewellery that I've just popped on is just a simple pair of earrings. Well, they're not that simple actually. Yeah, and so these are just kind of like an antique gold. It's a polky design, and there's just a little droplet. Underneath it does actually come with a headpiece, but I generally don't tend to wear the headpieces in terms of Indian jewellery. And I've just added a pink bindi as well, and that has some diamantes just around it as well, just to bring a little bit more light into the look. So you can follow my makeup posts and other ramblings generally on Instagram, as I find that the easiest one. Just a little bit of insight for you if you didn't already know. Diwali is a Hindu festival which is celebrated all over the world, and it just generally is a celebration of the triumph of good over evil. So on Diwali we light lots of clay lamps, and we get together with friends and family, and we eat lots of food and lots of sweets. Please give me a like, please subscribe, and leave any comments that you have in the comment box below. I'll leave all the links to my Instagram and Facebook and Twitter in the description box. And that's basically it. So to everybody who's celebrating Diwali, I wish you a really happy Diwali. Eat lots of cake and lots of food and enjoy yourselves. Take care, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.